Oh, there we are. Welcome to another edition, another episode of the most interesting news in the world. And like I talked about last week, we are bringing on a guest, our very first guest. Hello,
Woohoo!
Kirsten Bonanza.
Hello, Connor Hill.
Cool. So, as our new series of going about things, I would like to know, I would like to tour the globe in, you could call it stories of change, and as this show is called, the most interesting news in the world, bring out some news stories that are interesting, not the same old stuff you get on the normal news. So, Kristen, Kirsten, I'm so sorry if I keep calling you Kristen.
Let's go
It's just my,
Kirsten.
huh?
Kiers, like ears.
Ears?
Kirsten.
Oh, that's
That's how you
good.
pronounce it.
Here's
Kirsten.
K ears 10. Now I get
Kirsten.
Kirsten.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's just because I remember names by like with the vision of how it's written down. That's how I remember people's names. I don't remember how to say it or anything. So I like look at it, but then I go a little bit uh dyslexic on it. So the R, that's why. Not that the Y matters, just that's I see it and then I say the cur because the I is kind of like hiding.
Well, this is actually not the most important news, but it is actually very important. I heard something about like once the biology of the way we read actually makes it so you read the first letter and the last letter. And it doesn't matter how the other letters are scrambled in the middle. Your brain goes to the most common word that's made up of all of them. So it's actually very easy to misread names.
Well, I could go on for hours about that one,
I
but
know.
maybe we'll have to talk about that another day. I think, unless that's what we're talking about. So, Kirsten, actually, we might not have talked about this, but we're actually going to talk about this. Uh, she had a tree fall on her house and made her roof collapse, and she got a lot of awareness from that. However, since then, she has walked in. So, what does that mean? That essentially means she doesn't remember anything before walking in. Not very well, at least. So, we'll see what Kirsten has to say to us today. Welcome, Kirsten, to the show.
Thanks, Connor. That's a great introduction. So we're going to talk about something probably. No, I do have some memory, like it's like how much does your being remember versus what your body remembers? And then as infinite beings, one of the cool things that we have the capacity to do is we can simply pull information from awareness. And awareness is infinite. So, I can have infinite knowing about everything. Just kind of fun.
All right. So, would you like to talk about the tree falling on
I would
your
love
house,
to talk
collapsing
about the
your
tree
roof?
falling on my house.
All right.
I feel
What?
like we have to go to before the tree actually fell. As day after day, like I loved this tree. It was this big tree, like it has these three big trunks coming out of the ground, like almost like a V. And I couldn't have even wrapped my arms around one of them. It was massive, very, very old, easily over 200 years. And I set up my desk so that I could look out at that tree every day while I worked because it was so beautiful. And so as I'd be working, I'd be looking at that tree and like, you are so beautiful. I'm just enjoying you sharing this world with me. And I'm like, are you sure you're going to be able to hold up? So I kind of knew probably a year before the tree
Wow.
split and fell that it was getting ready and planning on just doing something. I didn't
Hmm.
know what, I didn't know where. But as soon as I had that awareness, I kind of asked the tree, I was like, hey, if you do ever do that thing, like, like break apart with the wind, if you could fall away from the house, that'd be really great. Just like, and so I kind of envision it like not falling on the house, but like in the other direction. And we had this series of storms. We had have all these crazy, I lived in the middle of the United States in Illinois where you would get
Ah,
tornadoes. Yeah,
very flat. Yes.
very flat. And we had this one. It's called a derecho. I don't know if you've ever heard of a derecho. I hadn't until it happened. It's a flat tornado.
Huh.
So instead of a tornado going through like this,
Yeah.
it goes through like this. So it's just a wall of wind at like 400 miles an hour.
Whoa, that's
Just goes like,
insane. That's wild.
yeah, it's insane. And as you can imagine, a lot of trees went down.
Yep.
Now, interestingly, during that, this tree didn't. And I'm like, okay, maybe we had a good conversation. We've got a good rapport. I talk to animals, so I might as well talk to trees too. And the tree's okay. All right. And then we'd get all these different storms would come through and all this rain. And I'm like, all right, we're still good. We're still good. The tree heard me. Maybe everything's stronger than I thought. And then I woke up one morning and it sounded like the house was thundering. Now, how does a house thunder? I, and I don't, all I remember at that moment was being like, I really don't want to deal with this. Whatever it is, this is not today. No, thank you. And it kept going and it kept going. Boom, 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 boom. Well, that was actually the tree hitting and rolling boom, 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 boom down the side of the house. And all of a sudden, boom, and the ceiling exploded inward and dumped 2 feet worth of dirty ceiling insulation onto my sleeping body. At this point, I'm still going, I really don't want to deal with this. Can this be over? Can I pretend this didn't happen and just go back to sleep? Because it was 6 a.m. It was not the time I really wanted to be up and now cleaning everything. And eventually the boom, boom, boom stopped. And I heard my husband like in the distance, like, okay, what's going on? Are you awake? Is everything okay? Because, he doesn't know. And at that point, I still didn't really know what was happening. I kind of thought it might have been a tornado or another derecho based on, history. And so um, I ended up just kind of getting myself out of bed and showering off some of the gunk to find out like what had actually happened. It wasn't a storm. It was just the tree finally let go. Now, the interesting part about that is it did actually almost miss the house.
Hmm.
It did do that thing I asked it to do all those
Like
times when
cracked
I was
really, really hard.
working. It spun as it was falling.
Huh.
And so it only hit like it was like this one tiny side and hip. It still did a ton of damage, but it was like, whoa, this massive, yeah, I mean, firewood for years.
Wow.
But
So you have firewood for years, like legitimately.
yes, actually, yeah, probably 2 cords of firewood is now in the backyard, nicely cut up and stacked.
There you
Yeah.
go. I apologize. There's somebody ringing our doorbell. But keep.
Okay. I actually can't hear it, so it's
Oh,
all good. Perfect. Um, so this is like one of those moments to me where you go like, what do you even do? Like there's the whole bedroom, the whole bathroom is covered in dirt, gross crap, dust. Well, the first thing is shut the door and turn the air conditioning off so it didn't blow through the house. Um, but the awarenesses started to come almost immediately. The one thing was in that moment of, it was like I didn't resist. I didn't resist that this thing was happening. It was okay, this is what's going on. What do I have to do next? Instead of no, like so there was actually initially an ability to kind of start to move through it from a place of calm and like actually getting to say what else is possible here. We start going through like some of the basic access tools. I actually use a lot of them every day. So what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how can I change it? Like, what do I do now? What creates greater in this moment? Well, the first thing was I love this tool we use. It's like trifold sequencing systems. It's really great for trauma. It's really great for like when you get your mind in a loop that'll never stop. And I was able to receive that within half an hour of having this really massive traumatic thing happen, because even though even though I wasn't impaled by a piece of tree or there wasn't, like something, the roof didn't actually fall on top of me. The stuff that did fall on top of me was still like this impact, like boom. So it was a shock. It was a shock to the system. And being able to first access like that body process, it brought up all this awareness about the gift of that moment, allowing me to access other lifetimes, other places in which I'd either been, I think of like past lives, been like buried alive um, or like really crammed in tight spaces like claustrophobia, things like that. It's like you don't normally have that energy come up. Sometimes when we do classes or we have conversations, we can kind of stir things up by talking about stories or what's happened in the past. That's not one that you can stir up pretty easily. So it was really actually this massive gift that the tree gave to me to like shake up my world in a way that I couldn't fake. Like you can't fake that kind of thing happening. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So So yeah, there I am. Everything's going haywire. I'm getting trifold sequencing systems and everything starts to change. Now, what
So
started to Uh-huh.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, what I was going to say is what started to unfold is I had been asking to create greater in my world. And I'd been asking, I was like, no, I need this now. Like I really, really, it's now. I am done with seeing this stupid popcorn ceiling. I don't know if you guys have that where you live, but it's
I
like
don't have it
sprayed.
here, but yes, I know exactly. It's very, very ugly. Yep. Uh-huh.
I can't go to sleep staring at this popcorn ceiling anymore. I wanted it to be changed. I hated the color of the room. I hated it. It was just stupid. And I didn't like the carpet. The carpet annoyed me. And I was bored with my sheets. I wanted to get a new set of sheets. And I'd been saying how much I needed some wood because I wanted to have a fire outside in a fire pit and in the fireplace in the house, but I didn't have any wood. And I'd been asking for logs, approximately 20 4 to 8 inch logs, 4 feet long, so that I could make mushroom logs so I could grow mushrooms in my backyard. And I had asked for a new wardrobe, and I really was like, no, I want this all now. I am tired of waiting. Something's got to make this work. I am just now. Well, guess what I got?
Oh my God, your tree fell on your house and you had to go buy all new stuff.
I did. I got the sheets that I wanted. I got the color of the wall that I wanted. I got the nice new ceiling. They had to fix, actually, there were these lights in the room that were installed. I hated them. They had to be replaced. There I didn't like the registers, like where the air comes in and out of the room for forced hot air. I didn't like those. Those got replaced. So it was all of this work that we would have had to do on the house, which we actually just sold this past week. All of this work that had to be done on the house got paid for. And I got a whole brand new wardrobe because even the clothing that I could recover was behind like slabs of ceiling. So I couldn't even get to it. I had to get new luggage. I
Oh,
mean, it actually was to the tune of somewhere between 40 and 60,000 US dollars that I had to spend in order to continue living my life. And I checked in with the insurance company. He's like, this is why you have insurance. Just make sure you buy it, at the quality that you expect. And I'm like, you just gave me permission to like So it was this funny thing that as all of this stuff, which you would think of as a trauma and think of as something horrible, is unfolding, it actually turned into a gift and the answer to so many different asks that I had had. I was kind of astonished and because every once in a while it would be a couple weeks and then they'd be like, "Oh, nope, we've got to fix this." And I'm like, "That was on my list too." They had to do a little bit of landscaping because of the way the tree fell. They had to, I mean, like, you can't make this stuff up though. And so that's to me, that's really like what the heart of this and it ended up being. It was just like this constant reminder that it's like we can make these asks of our lives, but we don't know how they're going to show up. We don't know how it's going to show up. We don't know what it's going to look like. And yeah.
That's really, really cool. I love the story. Well, everyone,
Yeah.
welcome to the new most interesting news in the world. You have it. I think that's an amazingly interesting story. I really adore it and it's great. So I forgot what I was going to say after that. But yeah, awesome. Anything else to add before we
Mm.
finish off?
Yeah, I think just remember to look for the miracles as they're happening and realize that everything that's happening to you is actually happening for you so that what's the gift in what you're currently receiving now, even if it seems like crazy and off the wall? What if it has something beautiful that it's actually offering you to receive?
Thank you. Well, everybody, this has been another edition and the new series of the most interesting news in the world. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.